Allow Me to Cook, the biggest gospel artist of all time. You're wearing designer from head to toe. You sell out arenas. Everybody knows who you are, but
the success
it's the biggest.
Brings a certain level of trauma.
Oh, for sure. You told me before we went on air, you said, don't be asking me no layup, cute gospel questions.
Yes.
So we gonna get on into it.
If they fall, we should be praying for people because we know tomorrow it could be us. I represent Jesus. I am not Jesus. I was an insecure kid, abandoned with low self-esteem. The only time people paid attention to me was when I was on the piano. We don't give people a chance. We write them off quickly. I was taught to be afraid of God. Everybody not gonna get the come up. Everybody not gonna get the bag. Everybody not gonna be an entrepreneur. Everybody won't.
Gospel music ain't gonna pay me like hip hop music can pay me. We don't want no gospel in the house tonight. That's it. I wanna talk about Jesus, 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 or drugs, 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 drugs.
I saw many times with Kanye that nobody asked the hard question. Don't be no 30, 35-year-old single black woman and go to the family reunion. Why you not married?
Where your man at?
You know what? For the first time ever, I'm gonna tell the story. This is between me and my kids. You stand over there and let me deal with my kids. She did not deal with her kids. Even though I overheard her when I was 13 tell Gertrude, I didn't want to have him, I wanted an abortion, but you wouldn't let me. Then marriage has been weaponized. Giving has been weaponized. Sexuality has been weaponized. We're not gonna let you work with the youth ministry if you're single. You can't do this if you're single. Where my camera at?
Right there.
And then crucify people when those same marriages
fail.
The Bible is full of whoremongers, prostitutes, hoes, liars, thieves, cheaters, adulterers, murderers. Do you know the most powerful phrase that a believing person can be able to say to someone in 2024 is going to be this?
You're preaching.
I'm about to smoke that cigar.
No, you're not. Hey, hold on, stop. We're gonna get back to the content at hand, but while I have your attention, I need you to go to iconicsaga.com and become an icon today. That's ad-free content, exclusive giveaways. Become an icon today. Just $1 a month. Back to the show. Hey, you! Come here real quick. Come in closer. Closer. Hey. Hit that subscribe button. Back to the show. Yo, what's good? What's poppin'? What it is, what it ain't. What it could be, what it should be, what it would be. Cam Newton the son, Mr. Boogie Doll, here with another episode of Funky Friday. And ladies and gentlemen, I have to sit up when I tell you this. I'm here to give good content for the masses, but most of all, respectfully to my guests, I have to keep it funky for your asses. Now, as I riddle off these stats, facts, the most influential and innovative gospel artist of all time, 20-time Grammy Award-winning artist, king of urban gospel, inducted into the Black Music and Entertainment Walk of Fame right here in Atlanta, and arguably the biggest gospel-selling artist in history. The biggest gospel artist in history. The biggest gospel artist of all time. I present to some and introduce to others. Kirk Franklin. Okay.
Thank you.
See?
So glad to be.
See, I knew we was gonna go there. I knew he was gonna, and I would not smoke. Listen. I knew he was gonna come to play, and I wasn't gonna come play with you. That won't be smoked during this segment of episode.
I was being funny.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. My brother, how you doing?
Man, smoke your cigar.
No, I'm not.
You know, I was saving it.
No.
I was over here planning that.
No.
It was good. I thought it was good.
I ain't
thought
gonna
it was
play.
a good.
Because you told me.
That you can do whatever you want to do.
No. You told me before we went on air, you said, don't be asking me no layup, cute gospel questions.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So we gonna get on into it. Because this is what I will tell you while that red button is blinking back at me. I done seen a lot of people interview or sit alongside or you virtually or however you want to cut it and cook it. They wasn't miming to your music and you Sunday. I miss every aspect of this and every time. I'm interested in all to it. I still don't know what he said.
Me either.
I'm the blessed, Paul, mercy, yes.
Wow. Yeah, that was pretty good. That's pretty good. You were miming.
Like, Hosanna, we were.
Wow.
Like, they not doing that.
That's true. That's true.
They just want to see
Yeah.
for those of you who do that gospel music that's going to, like, that's cool. That's admirable.
Shannon Sharp probably wasn't miming.
No, he was not.
Yeah.
Tamron and Angela Yee.
Yeah.
And
Charlamagne wasn't miming.
They was not. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
So people, I'm trying to take, in front of the camera, behind the camera, who's watching, allow me to cook. You are the Michael Jackson to me. No, like, for real. And I know sometimes it may be hard for a person to just be like, to receive.
Oh, extremely hard.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, I told you this in Super Bowl. We have to play this back when this episode drops because there's content that's out there that in preparation of practice, like coaches give like music, like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. I had this clip that went viral of me, like, who's really got me down? Put your hands together.
Yeah.
Like that's where I come from. I know more gospel music than I know worldly music. You see what I'm saying?
Crazy.
So for me to have this opportunity, it's something that I will cherish because you're that big of a deal to me and my growth from growing up in the church to going through trials and tribulations to just so many different things.
I want to say to you that my first time meeting you, like I said, the first time that we talked at Super Bowl, and it was about 2011, 2012, I was getting on an elevator here at Hotel, and you were a young buck, and you got on the elevator, and I knew you were a young buck because you had some new friends with you.
Yeah.
And they were all very excited to be on the elevator with you. And they were looking up to you.
Just pray for me. Just pray for me. Just pray.
And because I'm 5'5" and you're 6'5", you looked down and you looked at me, you said, oh, S-H-I-T, Kirk Franklin. And I said, hey, bro.
Natural reaction, by the way.
Yeah, and you said, I love your music. You have no idea, me and my mama. And I just thought that was mad dope. It's because you were on every TV show. You were the #1 draft. You were all over the place. I don't know much about sports, and I have so many sports friends. I have friends that are Hall of Famers, and you know, and we're friends because we don't talk about sports. Right. Because I know nothing about sports. And so from that moment, I've had a chance to watch just you through your journey, through your experience. And I think it's beautiful for people to know and to realize that this image of people thinking about God, listening to God's music, having a walk with God does not look in this monolithic way. That we all don't have the same persona that's churched out. Right. And so that's why we can't judge what we don't know. And I think that we look at people and because they're not writing scriptures on their helmets or write scriptures on their cleats, that it does not mean that they're not tapped in. It does not mean that they're not searching. It does not mean that they're not struggling. It does not mean that they're not asking questions. And I think it's very important for you also to know that your engagement, whether it's with my music, other people's sermons, is a beautiful testimony of who you are today and who you will continue to be, because it just shows that you didn't have to do it for the fanfare or to impress the Christian community, but you've been plugged in. And I think that's beautiful.
Listen, I'm not ever going to bite my tongue in regards to what my foundation is. And that's obviously the man above. I refer to him as Jesus Christ, who is my Lord and Savior. Thanks. Now, it may not always look how you may want it to look.
Same
this
here.
is the individual.
Same here. Same
but I know where all my strength come from.
Stone.
Look to the hill comes my help.
Yeah, man.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And that riddles off so fast. And it's not just something that I just felt so comfortable with just saying certain things. I could do all things, not necessarily knowing the Bible verse that it came from. You know, it just, boom, it was placed on my heart. Until I had to go on my own spiritual journey as a man, right? But we're gonna cover so many different things here while I have you. I just wanna start by asking, it's been a while for us to get you here, knowing that you are a busy man, working on so many different things, working on so many different projects. What are you going on tour?
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, you know, I started a tour last year and worked with some of the greatest artists in gospel music, Ty Tribbett, Tamla Mann, Israel Houghton, the Clark sisters, and we did this tour called the Reunion Tour. And it was a tour that really rejuvenated just the genre of gospel music engagement. Before that, I was on tour with a group called Maverick City.
Yes.
And that kind of sparked the plug because it was the first time that vertical music, is what I call it, made its way back into arenas. And so the Maverick City tour was the biggest grossing, highest attended gospel Christian concert in history. And so from that, you know, it was all about what to do next. And so we've been really blessed to really kind of reignite these live events for the genre. I have a music festival called Exodus, and it's almost like the gospel Coachella.
Yeah.
And so it's on fire, and it's really dope to see people want to pull up and engage with the music and be reminded of how dope God is.
Right.
And so we're going to do it again this year in the fall with Fred Hammond.
Yeah.
Marvin Sapp.
Yes.
Yolanda Adams, the Clark sisters again, and your boy. And so we're going to go out in the fall. But before that, in the month of August, me and Maverick City, we're going to go to Africa. And we're going to tour the whole continent, come home, and then we'll start the reunion tour. And I just love it, man. I love performing. I love engaging with people. I love reminding people of just the gravity of the talent. It's because, you know, it's something very interesting to see that everybody that people love, you know, all of the great acts that have been people of color, a lot of them started in church, and they started in gospel music, but they didn't stay, and that's not to condemn them. But I'm here to want to be able to shine light on those that did stay. Right. And so you can't talk about Black music in this country without talking about the influence of gospel music. For sure. Before blues, before R&B, there was gospel music. And I just want to be able to shed light on all the dope and talented artists, because see, you're talking about artists, they don't need studios, they don't need auto-tune, they don't, you know, you could put a gospel artist on stage with anybody at any moment. And you know I'm speaking facts. Yes. And my guy, it's a problem.
Yes.
And I just want to be able to showcase all of these talented and incredible souls that we have in the genre that may not always get the spotlight, because gospel music is not just Kirk Franklin. Yes. Kirk Franklin is just an ambassador trying to yell in the microphone, come holler at us, come look at us, come look at this squad. You know what I'm saying? Come over here and pull up on Gang Gang, you know, because, you know, like the gang is deep. And I want people to really recognize and acknowledge just the depth of the abilities and skill sets and not turn them off just because of their lyrical content.
I hope, first off, I just pray that God give me the mental fortitude, because as you're talking, it's just like point after point after point after point after point. And I'm like, hold on. I don't want to cut you off, but I just got to, you know, want to obviously speak to that. I've always known you to be revolutionary. And revolutionary could be controversial. Revolutionary could be great for, obviously, gospel music. But what sparked that of being true to you, the dancing, the lyrics, the intentions of like, you can be you and also be a man of God at the same time?
Well, I am still forever working on trying to be a man of God. I'm not fully there yet. And I just think that, I did not have a plan. It wasn't something that I had any idea that would bring attention or conversation. I think that if you look at the genesis of who I am, gospel music didn't influence me until I became a late teenager. I was influenced by the streets. I was influenced by hip hop music.
Yeah.
I was influenced, as I was a rapper and I was an MC. My name was Kid Fresh. At a Jerry curl. I walked around with a cardboard box with the niggas in the street, So, I was always, just living, I guess, a dual life that I was not aware of. It's because in my space, everybody kind of lived a dual life. There were church musicians that played at the club. There were singers of singing the choir that would sing, sometimes, kind of mid-level R&B. So, and I also think that there are different spaces of faith, even in the Black community. For example, and I know you can attest to this, some people that are raised Pentecostal probably would not have my experiences. I was raised in a Baptist church. Well, in the Black community, the Baptist church was always a little bit more liberal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always made fun of the deacons, be on the parking lot
Smoking cigarettes.
Smoking cigarettes.
I witnessed that in real life. Like, we visited the church.
Yeah.
And I go outside, and I see somebody, you smell the nicotine.
Yes.
And it's the same dude that was taking up the
Yes.
offering.
And me and you don't even know each other like that, got the
Yeah.
same story.
Right.
Raised in different parts of the country. So you can see how the stories are not just
Fabricated.
Yes,
Right.
They are consistent with the experience of our people. Where if you were raised Pentecostal, you probably saw most of the girls in denim shorts and white T-shirts and little white kid shoes, because they were gonna make sure they didn't look sexy. And they did a good job.
That's where I was raised.
Gotcha.
It was a lot of, that's not of God.
Thank you.
In
Thank
Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
But when we did the fish fries and when we did the car washes and the fundraisers and the community outreach, that's how they look.
Yes.
All the girls and all the gals.
Yeah.
I am 35 years old.
And you never saw a leg.
I've never seen my grandmother, Hattie Lou Newton,
You never
wear
saw a
pants.
thigh. You never saw a thigh.
She never wore pants. Still to this day.
Never saw Nana's thigh.
Never. She gonna wear stockings, and that skirt gonna be all the way down here.
Yes.
And it's not a skirt, it's a dress.
Yeah. But even the younger girls, they had them in them long denim
Yeah.
skirts. So the way that I was raised, it allowed me, because I was adopted by an older lady, and she was Baptist. So I was raised in a culture where, the kids could go skating, and we would have little jam parties or whatever. So I was exposed to all kinds of music.
Right.
And I think that that's maybe where it came from. But I'm telling you, Cam, there was nothing brilliant about me. I was not trying to do something different. I was an insecure kid, abandoned with low self-esteem, that just wanted people to like me. And the only time people paid attention to me was when I was on the piano. So I, dove into it. I submerged myself with doing whatever needed to be done to make people see me.
We're gonna talk about adoption, but staying on this whole growth of, did you teach yourself how to play piano?
I started taking piano lessons when I was 4, and I took them from age 4 to 10.
Okay.
But even between that time, what really tapped me in is I could hear stuff on the radio and play it. So I had this ear. And what I would do is I would take radio songs and flip them and make them gospel songs. And that's why I started getting in trouble in church, because I would take radio jams and I would have the youth choir singing radio jams, and I'd, kind of flip
Alter it.
Yeah. And so I started that really, really, really young, and I enjoyed it, and so.
All right, so we didn't go, I ain't never been to church with you ever, but we got so many, I was in the youth choir, and growing up, they saw, it was like, they got verbiage that's like, man, cap, oh, that's a lie, oh, man, it's turn. And then, when I was in grade school, it was crunk. So our youth director was like, y'all get crunk for Jesus. Y'all turn up for the Lord. And I'm like, okay.
It felt really whack.
8-town stomp on the devil. Okay. So I would like to tell you, you are responsible for encouraging that type of play.
Foolishness.
I mean foolery. Just y'all doing all that Dougie the devil off you. That.
Dougie the devil off.
Man, it been so many stuff that in church where it's just like, no, she did not just say, yes, she did just say that. And then for my father's a preacher.
Yeah.
I never knew how much he paid attention until Sunday's sermon. And he would always, I'm listening to the radio and he talking about, I hear, move, chick, get out the way. Y'all need to get out of the way of the devil. Like, it was always that. And I'm like, Pop, I wasn't listening to that because I was paying close attention to as soon as you came back into the thing, I was changing it from Hot 107.9 to put it back on the gospel station.
Yes.
And then Sunday morning, we talked about Bobby Jones gospel and everything and TBN and all that stayed in my house for so long. But that still doesn't negate the understanding of you and your willingness to take chance. Because for you, I only can imagine having the ear to the sound, the melody that caught your attention. When you hear the greatest singers of all time, Whitney Houston, God rest her soul.
Yes.
So many other ones who just can blow. I mean, Lord Jesus. I mean, it just sound like a angel is singing. It just speaks to your heart. For so many people to have start and leave.
Yeah.
Why haven't you left?
Well, first of all, I can't sing, so that was okay. But the real truth is, never in my life have I ever had a desire to do anything else.
But gospel music.
I've never had a desire. I'm not capping. I have never had a desire to do any other style of music but gospel music. My entire life. Even when I was rapping, even when I was an MC, even when I was wilding as a youngin', I always loved, I just believe in sovereignty. And I just believe that, even scripture teaches us that we don't find God. God finds us. God chooses and picks us. Scripture's full of predestination. And so I believe that God always had his hand on me, even in my stumbles, even in my mess ups. And he put a love for himself inside of me to guarantee that he had me. And it just showed up in my music. It showed up in my love for him, even in my flaws, even in my imperfections, man. It's like when I mess up, I hate when I mess up. I read the stuff that people say about me, right, and it always makes me want to check myself. I'm not the type of person that does not believe that that people can't be critical. It's that I believe that people have a right to judge. We all judge. You judged if you were going to wear that pinky ring. You right, judged the color of that hat. You judged what kind of cameras you want. The problem a lot of times with Christian judgment is that we judge people without the opportunity for the redemption and to bring them back in. It's like the goal and the attempt sometimes with the way that some Christians judge is to condemn. It's never to win back. But biblical judgment is, let me love you enough to point some things out that I think may be standing in the way of you being your best. And I want to be here for you, correct, as you walk it out with me. So it's like when I'm dancing too much, I want people to say something because I want to check, because you know how it is when you out there and you and your vibe, whatever, you're not paying attention to what you're doing.
And that.
You know what I'm saying? If I wear something that people think is a little too,
Worldly.
a little too worldly, I want to check that. It's like, you know what? Okay, you know what? But, I'll pay attention to that. I always want to pay attention because I know that I don't have it all together. My career has been judged since the day I started. My career in 2024 is still being judged. And I still want people to know it matters to me that people want to know if I'm repping Jesus, because I want to rep Jesus. But because I'm a sinner, because I'm not perfect, because I'm flawed, because we live in a fallen world, I'm not going to always get it right. And I want people to know that when I don't, you can say something. Even if they say it in very mean and harsh ways, it is my responsibility to bob and weave through all of the minutia and see that there are people that are looking to me to say, for some of us, you are the closest oracle that we get to hear word from God.
Yeah.
And so I got to take that responsibility, even though I don't always like it. And what I've got to do is also in return, because, lately we've had a lot of pastors that have kind of been, having their
exposed.
Well, you know what? Let me say it like this, if you don't mind me saying this. I would humbly maybe not use the word exposed.
Okay.
Is because if that's the case, that everybody in the Bible was exposed.
Yeah.
But we call them heroes. The Bible is full of whoremongers, prostitutes, hoes, liars, thieves, cheaters, adulterers, murderers. That is the canon. And we reference these people. We call these people after God's own heart. We quote people. We quote murderers. We quote adulterers. We quote liars. But in real time, when people in real life make the same mistake, they're condemned. So the same book that you love that's full of it, when you get it in real time, that's a little duplicitous. That's a little hypocritical. So I wouldn't say be exposed. I would say just be human.
Yeah.
We're having pastors right now that their humanity is showing. They're being sinners is showing. And that's why it's very important that we remind people. I've got to remind people, these pastors have to remind people, I represent Jesus. I am not Jesus. Do not serve me. Do not worship me. Do not put me on pedestals I don't deserve, because I'm a sinner. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory. Scripture says there's not one righteous, no, not one. So when we make people want to live these perfect lives, we're setting people up to fall.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Here's an illustration. I gave it 10 when I'm talking too much. If you are on an island and the only way off that island is this tightrope that is over sharks. The only way off the island is there's a tightrope and everybody, let's say it's millions of people on the island. Yeah. And the only way off the island to get to safety, there's a tightrope that everybody's got to walk across. And but up under the tightrope is a sea full of sharks. We're not going to be looking at people trying to get off the island and going, look at them, they slipping. Look at that. They walking. See, they fell. I knew they would fall. You're not going to do that. You're going to be doing like this. God, please make it. Please. Because you know you next.
For sure. Sooner or later, you're going to go.
If you're going to get off that island, the only way off this island that is dying is to go across that thing. You're going to be praying and wishing everybody the best to get off. Yeah. That's why I have such a confusing space when people condemn Christians when they fall and make mistakes, because we know how hard this life is. It's hard for people that don't believe in God to live life right now.
Yes.
Can you imagine signing up for somebody that says virgin births and Red Seas and a whole bunch of animals getting on the ark? I mean, these things that are so far to believe, and people say, I want to choose to believe that. If they fall, we should be praying for people because we know tomorrow it could be us.
Yes.
So that's the tension that I have with where Christianity is today and how we treat each other, because there's only one way off. And up under it is a sea full of sharks.
I think, you just said something that I receive where you're just a messenger.
It's it. I'm not the message.
They're not the message by no stretch of the imagination. And I think that's where people look and say, you know what, I told you so. That's why I don't go to church right now. Man, look, the pastor riding in the Rolls Royce, everybody else riding in the doggone Caprice.
I do think that there is a responsibility that when your lifestyle is contingent upon the giving of individuals that are spending their last dollars, is because they are believing that this is a direct access and source to God's blessings on their life. I think that there is a responsibility of what you do with that money and how you live in front of people. So I do want to say that there is some justification of people wanting to know where the money goes and your accountability with it.
And and there should be a measure of transparency.
Yes, sir. Should always be.
Because I've seen it firsthand, secondhand, indirectly, directly. My father's a preacher. And a lot of people they rush to, where is the offering going?
Yes, sir.
We done took 3 offerings, man.
Yes.
Deacon so-and-so, hey, I done gave you a dub the first offering. I know you done stretched out $7 in the second offering. I only got nothing to give on the third offering. Like, where is this money going? And we still don't got AC in the church.
Yeah. You know what I love? It's because I don't know a lot about sports, but what I do love about football is I love when I've seen the highlights and when you guys play, and let's say that the press try to blame losing a game on you.
For sure.
And I love when they get into the locker room and there are players that say, no, that just wasn't Cam. We lost as a team.
Yes.
It just wasn't Cam. Like, that's beautiful to me. And I think that is a mirror of what the body of Christ should be. That when there's news about a pastor or when there's news about this, that's a team player. That's part of the team.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? We need to rally around our teammate, make sure that he's getting the accountability he needs,
right.
make sure that whatever mistake happened in his life, that we all acknowledge that was heartbreaking, but we're not gonna throw him away.
Right.
You don't get thrown away just because a game is lost on your, it's like we're—
Just because I threw an interception,
humans against humans, making them so disposable. I don't know what that's going to say for the future of our species, because it is too quick, and things like cancel culture, the access to how we can be critical of everybody's moves. Do you know how that is not healthy for the mental? I'm not talking about even your spiritual health, I'm talking about your mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health, everybody's tapped into mental health. When you have to live your life where people are able to judge and to critique it and to leave comments about it, what that can do to the inside of a person. Yeah. So I believe that if we're gonna keep this message of Jesus rocking in the culture, we've gotta first change the posture. We are no longer doctors. I'm not a doctor. T.D. Jakes is not a doctor. Tony Evans is not a doctor. Whoever is not a doctor. We're patients.
Yeah.
And everybody's laying next to a patient. There's only one doctor.
Yes, sir.
And I think that we've got to make that message a lot louder. I think people have taken pleasure in being doctors. I think people have taken pride in being doctors. And I think that maybe God is shutting down some of the hospitals to make us all get down in the bed together and be like, I'm sick, you sick, we sick, and we all need the doctor.
I think I'm gonna have a Soulja Boy moment here in regards to you, where—
No, it's not Soulja. That's Soulja, right? That's Soulja. Yeah. Even though
You
I shouldn't
did
be doing
crank
that,
that
though.
Soulja.
Yeah, but I should.
Crank it for Christ.
Well, but even when Soulja Boy do it, he was doing it. It was nasty, wasn't it? Yeah, but song was nasty, right?
No, it was.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Crank that Soulja Boy.
Yeah, Soulja. Yeah.
No,
it was nasty.
it's not. Hallelujah.
Whew. We'll be back after commercial.
Damn.
I'm about to smoke that cigar.
No, you're not. Hallelujah. Hey, baseball fans. There's nothing like being in the stadium for a good summer baseball game. And being from Atlanta, I gotta make sure I pull up to the park to see my Braves in action. If you're looking to cop some tickets to see your favorite teams, you have to check out the app Gametime. They're an official MLB ticket marketplace that makes it super easy to snag the best deals no matter the budget. And the best part, prices actually drop closer to the game. Game changer. With panoramic seat views to help you pick the best seat. Game changer. I'm already looking out for the Auburn-Georgia game. And I'm not the guy that goes to the games and sits in the suites and act bougie. No. I've got to be in the crowd to give the energy when it's game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Terms apply. Download Gametime today. Create an account. Last-minute tickets. Lowest price. Guaranteed. See you at the game. But I've never known nobody, you said, people look to you as the voice of, like, this is the only time somebody will experience holiness through your music. You've done that by merging and being the bridge to bring hip hop, rap, R&B into the gospel world. And obviously for you to go into their world, still staying true to your morals, your values, the religion. When I hear, oh, there's the child, like that was a whole smorgasbord of so many different, oh, damn, he was on that song, R. Kelly was on that song too, boom. Then you hear Kanye, and you on that. It's so many that I'm drawing blanks from, but bro, you've been that guy.
So let me ask you a question then. Why do you think that gospel music or the gospel message, why do you feel like in 2024, so many in the culture think it's whack? The message, the music and the message.
I don't think that it's whack.
No, why do you think so many in the culture right now, they think that it's whack?
Think the music is whack?
The music is whack and the message is whack.
We don't have people promoting the music. There's unbelievable talent. There's unbelievable artists. There's unbelievable just skill in the church, not just in gospel music, in the church.
You're right.
So people say they got so much to offer that they say, gospel music ain't gonna pay me like hip hop music can pay me. So what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about Jesus, or drugs. So when I think about it, and I'm so inadequate to have this conversation but
no, you're not.
I'm the person who has been drawn to people like, bro, you know, God is in this. He lives in this. Mm-hmm. You know, and we get so confused about doing certain things and doing this and doing that. But when it comes down to the message, when it comes down to just who and what we represent, it can be tough. It is tough. I just had Lecrae.
Lecrae's dope.
And we talked about Kanye. Mm. And he said something that was just like, yo, it's so easy because for us, when we identify that you were with us, everybody like, yo, boom, that's what it is. But then to leave, what happened? And I think that happens more times than not.
Yeah, and I think that some of that is also, it's also our fault. I think that we, including myself, I think that historically, there is this close affiliation with Black culture, Black Christianity, and Black celebrity, where they all become this synonymous space of how we exist because we don't have a lot of heroes. We don't have a lot of heroes, and so sometimes when somebody acknowledges or says anything that they're Christian or represent their faith, everybody in the Christian community wants to jump on it. And you also see that even in the white community, even in the white Christian community. You know, if Donald Trump says that he's a Christian, then all the evangelicals vote for him, even though there are so many things about his life and lifestyle that are problematic to the Christian ideal. You know, we are so thirsty as Christians. We're so thirsty for attention that we'll tag on to anybody that gives a little bit of hint that they rock with us, that we don't do life with them. We just kind of rest in their celebrity, and I saw it. I saw it firsthand many times with Kanye. I saw many times with Kanye that because he's such a talent, he's such a gift, that there were many times that the faith community was so excited about him being
to latch on to him.
To latch on, that nobody asked the hard questions. Nobody talked about accountability. Nobody talked about community around this individual. It's that, you know, we just come up, we become field Negroes. And, you know, we miss the bigger picture. We miss the Great Commission. And so, you know, so that is something that I think needs to be revisited even in our space of Christianity.
When did you know, right? When did you have that moment where, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
There was never a time in my life that I knew this is what I was supposed to be doing. I've been doing it so long that it was just a natural flow into it, because I've been playing since I was 4.
Yeah.
I've been playing in the church my whole life. So I was doing gospel music in the church my entire life. I was a minister of music at a church when I was 12. I was directing people 3 and 4 and 5 times my age when I was 12 years old. So I did it so much that there was never a time I don't remember not doing it. And so the only time I think that I could understand that it was maybe part of my calling is when you look up and you are doing albums and people are responding to it. Because I've always done what people liked about me. If people liked it, I did more of it. But my motive, I can be honest with saying, my motive was not always my faith. My motive was to be liked. I wanted to be accepted. And I think that that's what abandonment does. Abandonment creates all of these holes in your life that you try to fill with the space of people. You know, I filled the holes in my life of not having a mama with girls and being very promiscuous, right? And so I filled the hole in not having a father with really developing a father-son relationship with Christ when I was a little boy. I filled the hole with rejection and acceptance and wanting to please. It got filled with fear. And so I became performance-based. It's because I was afraid of the rejection, and I transferred that even in my faith, is that I was not taught the fear of God. I was taught to be afraid of God. And who wants a relationship with anybody you're afraid of? So I had all of these dichotomies that I had to walk through. So being called, I never knew that it was a calling. I just woke up one day and really found myself doing it.
You've been doing it for I can't say that somebody been popping as long as I've been living, but that's you. You see what I'm saying? Like, bro, I was miming like,
bam, bam, bam.
Bro, that was 8 years old, bro. That was like.
Well, my first album came out when I was 22. The While We Sing album came out when I was 22 years old.
That moment right there, for me, it was walking into a stadium where I saw Newton. That was my moment. Not college, because college at that time, it wasn't NIL. They didn't have your name on the back. It was walking into a stadium or approaching a stadium and seeing my last name on people's backs. That was like,
Imagine.
Mama, I made it, right?
Imagine that.
But for you though, what was that moment? Was it a radio song? Was it a concert? Was it like, what?
You know, I would probably say radio. It's because I came up in an era where radio was the behemoth. It was the top of everything that spoke to your impact. And so when there were mainstream stations playing While We Sing, and mainstream stations playing Melodies from Heaven, and mainstream stations playing Stomp and Looking for You and Imagine Me and I Smile, You know, those were moments. But then, you know, the dichotomy of that also is those are moments that you have to continue to deconstruct because you can't hold God hostage to always doing that. And so a lot of times, if you had a song that didn't do that, then I let that be the bar of, okay, well, the song's not good. And then you got to deal with the internal spiritual war of God, you know, pulling on your heart like, okay, so if people don't say it's good, now it's no longer good. It's almost like I use another illustration of, you know, you ask God for a song, right? Okay, God, give me a song that's gonna bless Cam Newton, God. God, you know, or just gonna bless the people. And then God gives a song, but then I look at your response and how you respond. I go back to God, I was like, oh God, you got something else? That didn't make his head bob. But what if God wanted me to give you a song that can convict you, that don't make your head bob? You see what I'm saying? Maybe God gave me a song that makes you have to go home and think about it for a few days. So that's why, that's the conviction, is that if you look for people's approval to define God's working in your life, and then you find this space where God becomes the slave and no longer the savior. And so that is the tension that I've also lived my life into.
Hard question, I know, but I asked that. You've been in the industry for so long. Could you name top 3 most impactful projects that you've done?
For me?
For you personally. Like when people be like, okay, like when you said, imagine me being free, trusting you, like real tears.
So you know these songs.
Like I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like I was in junior college. I speak so much to my junior college journey, but I cried. Real tears, alone, obviously, because I'm like the alpha of all alphas and ain't nobody gonna try me, nigga, that. But alone, when you're alienated, that melody and so many others hit a chord in my heart that I was like, oh man, yeah, that's, So your top 3 most impactful projects?
Is I don't have it. I don't have top 3. You know, I got to see them all as my sons. I got to see them all as my sons. I can't do that. I think that would be an insult to the journey because I also got to name the sons that nobody else enjoyed. I also got to name the sons that didn't chart. I also got to name the sons that had me crying, but nobody else crying. So, you know, it's that they all speak deep levels of spaces for me at different moments because, you know, the gift that God has loaned me that has been the greatest gift of my life is songwriting. So, you know, like these songs that y'all hear, these are not songs that people are giving me for me to perform in the studio or on stage. These are songs that God is birthing out of me, you know, by God's kindness, by the Lord's kindness. I write and arrange every song that the Lord has given me. Every song that you guys have heard from me, God loans me the lyrics, God loans me the melody. I'm playing and with God's grace, writing these songs. So there's not a song that you have heard from me that somebody wrote for me.
Ever.
I can't sing, I gotta do something.
So you write every lyric that...
Yes, sir. I don't have a co-writer. I've never had a co-writer. You didn't know that?
I
Really? So
we're living in a day and age, like I just didn't know.
Well,
I didn't.
You're living in a day.
I would not have loved you any different. You see what I'm saying?
Well, let me be candid with you. Watch this. You got to understand the genre that I come from. See, I'm 54 years old, so I don't come from this day and age. I come from a genre that in gospel music did not have a culture of co-writing. Gospel music had no money to go sit and co-write with somebody. We didn't even know that language. This is new language for me. I didn't know anything about co-writing. That wasn't even part of the gospel aesthetic. In gospel music, people bring a song and teach it to the choir that they write. Did you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like most people that are writing songs still got full-time jobs. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So then nobody, like there were no writing rooms. There were no studio sessions. My first studio album was the New Nation album. So I did Why We Sing, What You're Looking For, the Christmas album, God's Property. Those were all like live, even the God's Property album, it was a live recording, it was a live studio session, meaning when I recorded the God's Property album, I rehearsed God's Property at a church every like Monday and Thursday.
Wow.
So we're rehearsing at a church and I'm teaching them the songs that I wrote for them at a church. And we go to a studio on a Saturday and we record all of those songs at a studio in one day.
In one setting.
Gospel music didn't have no money for, okay, we're gonna block out the studio and invite some producers. We didn't have that kind of money. That God's Property album was done probably off $15,000, $20,000. Yeah, my first album cost me $5,000. Yeah, gospel music has never had those kind of budgets.
But it grossed you how much, Mr. Kirk? We're gonna leave that later on in the so y'all gotta wait for that. But
So no, I didn't come from a culture of co-writing. In gospel music, when you hear these songs from people, 98 to 99% of these people, they are writing their own music because that's the culture of God. John P. Key is writing his music. Fred Hammond, now Fred may have a different story. Other people have a different story. But for me and people like me, we're like writing our songs. We're playing our songs. We are teaching and arranging our songs. That's the culture of gospel music.
So I would say this in regards to impact. When you say God's Property, New Nation, do you want a revolution? Ooh, like,
That's New Nation.
Like
That's New Nation.
that. All these different pieces. Me, your number one impact, Father's Day.
What?
Because listen, let me tell you something. It's not the album. It was the vulnerableness in your YouTube video that made so much make sense.
Wow.
And now we know who the individual is and your vulnerableness, your willingness to be transparent in a world that's so, hold on. I'm John P. Key, I'm this person, I'm T.D. Jakes, I'm this person, I'm Yolanda Adams, I'm this person, I'm Fred Hammond, I'm this person, I'm Kirk Franklin, I have to protect so much. I saw you as a person that my heart just went out to, like, oh my God.
Wow.
And nobody, like, I wouldn't say or condemn anybody who has never did it, but you being who you are, the Mount Rushmore of not just gospel music, but music impact. That. And it shows so much. But at the same time, you created a piece that was just so beautiful, gripping, vulnerable. And we know way more. There, so much so that I forget the album, but one of the first beginning of the album, you had a skit.
Rebirth.
And I'm like, yo.
Give me this baby.
Like, Daz. And then she's like, it was so much that, like, come on, bro. We're in the church, so.
Wow.
That was something that, I played that. And then knowing your journey of being adopted, and I'm saying to myself, like, yo, like, he touched it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went there. And I had so many questions even more, but as you watch the piece, it was so, boom, so much so too. And I'm going and going and going. Last night I told a friend, I said, yo, I'm talking to Kirk Franklin tomorrow. She says, tell him he's responsible for one of her friends getting back in touch and in tune with her father.
Jeez.
That's what you did.
Jeez.
All she did, the friend, was send that clip, that video, to her friend, and her friend said, you know what? I'm gonna send him a friend request. 2 hours later, he accepts the friend request with the message. I think it's time that we have a talk. Over 20 years, multiple decades, this is what you've done. We've all seen the viral moment of Kirk Franklin and his son. Like, yeah, but true people know he's human.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
You got way more respect. I said comical, but it's so serious that it's like, yo, we need this. This is real. And I think that what you said is the crutch for us. When people look at Cam Newton, they see dreads, they see brashness, boldness, and he just doing too much. My question is, you ain't doing enough. This is me. You see what I'm saying? I don't ascribe to what you praise. I don't do that. I am me. I make content for me. I'm enjoying this conversation because it's me. And if somebody else were to enjoy it, it's even more of a bonus.
Wow.
But for you, being humanized is what I appreciate the most about that body of work.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's
And you know, it's still a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that people don't realize that it has somewhat brought more pain than I was prepared for, because a lot you have to relive, because, you know, this man lived literally, Cam, that whole entire time as a little boy. Cam, the man lived walking distance 10 minutes from me my entire life. I could walk to his house in 10 minutes. He lived in the same neighborhood. When I'm struggling with trying to figure out my identity as a little black boy, my biological father was 10 minutes from me, walking distance, lived behind the elementary school that I went to. So his little boy is playing during recess, and he could see the playground from the kitchen window. So, you know, it has shaken my faith in ways. I've got deep questions. I know some people would say, well, Kirk, you don't know what kind of father he would have been. Maybe God was protecting you. I'll also say, you don't know what kind of father he may have been if he would have known he had a son. Because you and I know is that children change you.
For sure.
And they grow you up. So maybe I could have been a trajectory change for his life. Yeah. But we don't know the what ifs. I'm just sharing my honesty and transparency, and I know people are going to maybe have their comments and thoughts, and that's fine.
That's not, man.
Yeah. But you know, for me, it is very much about, I would rather live, Cam, as a 54-year-old black man that talks about loving Jesus and all of the nuances and questions that brings up even in the 21st century, and all of the weaponization of Christianity and its engagement with our race as people. I have come to the place of knowing that I'm not going to be everybody's favorite.
Yes.
I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, that I'm an acquired taste. And I have to learn to be okay with that. I'd rather live vulnerable and broken than act well and privately be sick. So if I'm going to live open as a Christian, I'm going to live with my flaws leading the way. So if I do fall, I don't have far to go. I refuse to let you put me up on a pedestal because I know I don't belong there. I'm not worthy there. There's only one that belongs up there. I'd rather stay low, because when you stay low, it's almost like in your sport. When you got these big linemen, y'all teach them to hit low.
Yeah.
It's because they're so big.
For sure.
And so whatever position people put you in, it's on you. And it's important for you to realize that for you to stay safe and hit right, stay low.
Let me ask you this. And I was watching so many questions where did the Franklin name come from?
Gertrude was married to a guy named Jack Franklin. Okay. Jack Franklin died when I was 2. They didn't have any children. Gertrude couldn't have children. Gertrude was born in 1908.
Gertrude was your adopted?
She adopted me. I was 4 years old when Gertrude adopted. She was a 64-year-old widow. She was on government aid and food stamps, and she recycled cans of newspapers to pay for my piano lessons. Government cheese, the church would help her out every now and then. Like I said, Jack died, so there was no man in the house. I knew of my biological mother because my biological mother had some kind of relationship with Gertrude. My biological mother's name was Deborah. Deborah didn't want to be a mom. And so Gertrude raised me, give me this baby, you know. The man I thought was my father, I met him when I was 6. I had a lot of anger in my life because he was not there. And the thing that kept me sane was music. Music kept me sane. Music was my connection to Jesus. Music was the way that people could see me. Music was the way that I was able to communicate the anger and hurt that I had. And so, and I lived a very lonely life because I was raised in a neighborhood that didn't have kids, a lot of kids. Now, sometimes people's grandkids would come visit them, and sometimes in the summer I would have friends, but for the most part, I lived by myself. I didn't have relatives that I would play with. I didn't have other kids except for church. So I lived lonely. Gertrude was at an age, she didn't take me places. So it's like I wasn't gonna go to the park. We weren't gonna go to Six Flags because she was an older lady.
You said she was 64.
She drove 2 places, church and to the grocery store. And so I spent a lot of time by myself. I spent a lot of time lonely. So if it wasn't for music, music saved Cam. Music saved my life. And I would write Jesus songs. And then when I got able to talk to girls, I would write them songs. And so I would write people's songs.
That was the game. I'm gonna put some poetry on this paper, baby.
Yes, sir. And it worked, Doc. It worked.
Writing, that was a God's gift.
Yes.
Easily.
Yes.
While I was watching the documentary, these are quotes from you. Love is a muscle that has to be trained. After finding out the news, you said something that was, who am I? Well, because I've only knew myself when I was broken. This is the thing that I know this to be the truth about why Father's Day was your best impact for me. You not knowing how to love, this is you talking to Miss Deborah. You not knowing how to love made me not know how to love, end quote. If that ain't the epitome of a generational curse, I have never seen one clear as day. I paused it, replayed it, paused. I said, no, I got to get this, pause it, boom. That's a curse. That is a curse. A person not knowing how to love, then raising something still with the inability to know how to love. Now that root, that flower that you've raised is going to be the same way.
And how sad that we don't even know the full story of Deborah and how she became that way as well. And when I'm able to be healthy in days like at this very moment, I have clarity sitting with you. I probably wouldn't be like this if I was by myself, back at home, because sometimes home brings that trauma again.
Yeah.
But sitting here in Atlanta with you gives me a moment of grace and clarity, you know, to even think, what did she go through in her life?
Yes.
That she was not able to love the only son she ever had. She didn't have any more kids after me and Sawana. And she didn't get to love Sawana the right way and me the right way. What kind of pain and torture? Who hurt her to the level they hurt her, that she was not able to love me and give me what a mother. My therapist told me, Cam, he said, and he's Nigerian. His name is Dr. Sonny Acho. It's Emmanuel Acho's dad.
What?
Emmanuel Acho's dad. I've been knowing Emmanuel Acho since he was a little boy.
The crazy thing, I just DM'd him. Bro, Emmanuel, God is my witness, I just DM'd.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, his dad.
But he speaks like that, though.
Yes.
He speaks with so much conviction and articulate, as well as,
Well, that's his dad. His dad is brilliant. His dad is brilliant, you know, and, you know, Dr. Sonny Acho, PhD, came from Nigeria, made it and brought his kids up. But he said to me, he said, Kirk, he said, you know what your problem is, Kirk? He said, you never laid at the breast of your mother. He said, every boy needs to lay at the breast of their mother. He said, the reason why you're not connected to anything, because you were never connected to the breast of your mother. And when a boy, especially a boy, does not have that connection to his mother, he will always in life struggle finding connection with anything.
Trying to find it.
And that right there, for me, that was the most healing, heartbreaking truth that I heard in a while. But imagine what she's gone through, that she never, ever, ever let her baby boy lay at her breast and be connected. So,
Man, it was a thing that says, hurt people. And I think there's so many things and avenues that I can go with, and it's not enough time in the day. Because I would admonish anybody watching this to make it right. And the God that I serve, the person who I am, has always lived by this: the truth will set you free.
yeah.
It's so much just caving in, and it's so many times when I was just trying to hide things and do things and this, that, I'm like, But then once the truth comes out, you know what, man, I don't even care no more. Look, I'm gonna tell you how I really feel about your homeboy. Matter of fact, mama, I did it, mom. And Dad, being set free is something that I think for you going through this, I don't know, but going through it, it was like, yo, and I appreciate, now we know as your biological father, he's so patient.
He's a good dude.
And I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh my God, I just hope that he don't. And it was so nurturing just to say, I'm going to be here as you take your time.
Yeah.
And it's going to take time.
Yes.
This is 54 years or 50, I don't know how many
54
years of you just trying to compartmentalize identity, trying to figure out, latch on to things where it's like, man, I'm trying to fill a void. And the worst thing, especially the worst thing in this situation, is that no does not exist in your life. You have money, you have fame, you have power, you have so many things. And people think, oh man, if you give me $1 million, you'll never hear from me again. But that's the beginning of the end of just so much. And you don't have issues. You Kirk Franklin, you don't got issues. You can't. You got a Lamborghini, a Bentley, a Rolls Royce, a this, or that. But you're hiding so much. You replace things where it's like, for you wanted that warmth of
my mama.
Just the mama to be able to say, Mom, what you doing? All right, Mom, about to head home. Man, Mom, this girl, this, that, and third, or whatever. For me, it was for my dad.
Yeah.
My dad was an unbelievable man. He still is my hero. You know what I'm saying?
Dope.
But my dad was just, he never was emotional. You know what I'm saying? And
we need that.
Yes, but it still wasn't, I don't be like, man, Dad, why you ain't never tell me you love me? That's just him. I've learned to love people for who they are and dwell on who they are rather than who they're not.
That's beautiful that you have that strength. And I commend you for that strength. And I think that that what I hate in the climate right now of culture is we're absent and deficient of empathy. There's no more empathy. There's no more compassion to the fallen nature of who we are as humans. Is that we don't have patience with people. We don't give people a chance. We write them off quickly. And we're all strangers in a foreign land trying to get home. All of us are. Some of us may be driving expensive cars getting there. Some of us may be catching a bus getting there, but we're all strangers. And we're all trying to figure out identity, that what we do is not who we are. And we live in a society that what you have and what you do, think about when men meet each other. Within 5 seconds, we're going to say, So what do?
Yeah.
We define each other by what we do. So we always have to be doing something to have an identity. And then we have a faith that is counterintuitive to all of that. That says that I love your stinky draws and your stinky breath and your stinky life just the way you are. Just the way you are. Come to me. Don't clean yourself up. Don't try to get yourself right. Come to me just the way you are, and I'll clean you up over and over again. Let me tell you something, Cam. I'm going through some stuff right now at the crib, bro. Some of my heroes and some people that I've walked through life with and some things that I've gone through. Brother, I can't tell you the blows that I've had in my life over the last 3 years. First with my son, with what happened with him and you know, our experience that became public. And then the following year was the situation with, you know, me finding out about all this, and which opened up my mother thing. And then this year, you know, some of my heroes have gone through some things, and life has gotten really lonely and really cold. And I'm still raw with it, right? You know, pause. You know, and so I'm still trying to find my way through it all. And I just need to be able to be reminded that even in my darkest place, God's there. And so many people are questioning, where's God right now? Because there's so much hell going on in the world, but you don't see or feel like God is making noise. And all I can do is tell people, I don't know. But what I got to fight through right now, Cam, is what I don't know, don't cancel out what I do know. That I did not get here because I'm good. I got here because of God. And that's all I got. That's all I got, King. I ain't got no scripture to throw at you. I ain't got no fancy Jesus tricks to give you. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know somebody that do.
So, you said you had a skill. Well, you said you had a gift. Over here at Funky Friday, we have games that we play.
Oh, my God.
And in this game, we call Funky Friday Choir, featuring Kirk Franklin. Are you ready, Mr. Kirk?
I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna give you the rules of the game. Kirk, your job is to turn the Funky Friday crew into the Funky Friday Choir. Using the words below, make a simple choir hook. Give non-singers an example of what it would be like to sing in harmony for a real choir.
You know what? And I've got my daughter and her boyfriend here.
Bring him up, too.
So come on.
Say less.
Kennedy, come on, y'all. Come on.
All right, here we go. Suggested words are, Lord, you're iconic. What would be the hook for Lord, you're iconic?
Iconic. 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 You are iconic. So come on. Iconic. You are. God, you are.
Hallelujah.
Iconic.
Hallelujah.
Next one. Next one.
Next part. Next part.
Next one.
Hallelujah.
What else you got?
Lord, you love me.
Lord, you love me, you love me. Lord, you love me, you love me. Lord, you love me, you love me. Lord, you love me, you love me. Come on, Lord, you love me, you love me. I say, Lord, you love me, you love me. Say, Lord, you love me, you love me. Say, Lord, you love me, you love me. Next one, what else you got? Let's keep going.
Okay, help me be a better person, leader. If somebody can't sing, give me the order of operations of how you would go. You see what I'm saying? Like, it happens. You know, since we sharing stories.
They don't need to be in the choir.
Yeah, but how do we tell them? Okay.
You need to, God got something better for you. God got something better for you.
Because we all know we done been to churches, we done been in choirs affiliated with people. It's on their heart to want to sing, but it's not coming out the right way, melody, tone. How would you go about that?
I would say, let's go. Listen, say, Get up, let's go. You on the Cam Newton show. We're gonna give a theme song. Get up, let's go. You on the Cam Newton show. Say, get up, let's go. You on the Cam Newton show. Come on, get up and go. You on the Cam Newton show. Ad-lib, come on, this is your show. Get up and go. You on the Cam Newton show.
Cam Newton show, y'all.
Get up and go.
Yeah.
On the Cam Newton show.
Funky Friday show, y'all.
Get up and go. You on the
Yeah.
Cam Newton show.
One pinky, one thumb.
Hey!
Yeah.
Hey!
All right. So when you hear that, get up and go, you on the Cam Newton show, that's the sign that, like, I don't want to say, hey, bro, you ain't getting the job done. So, Peggy, get up and go.
Haters gonna hate it. I'm out of here.
Appreciate everybody.
That was good.
Okay,
Good job.
listen,
Good job, choir.
my questions aren't coming from people asking. This is me really wanting to know how to be a better Christian, how to be a better father, how to be a better person that's in the limelight. And I speak for so many people. And we want to know, I want to know, how do you do this? How have you done it for so long?
I think that everybody that is in your position, or anybody in a position where there may be a microphone or a camera that they have to live up under, I think that it's very important to never, ever assimilate to the perfection or the perfectionistic ideals of others. I think that living broken, acknowledging that brokenness, acknowledging your fragility is the safest way to be able to exist in the middle of all that. To be able to lead with your scars, lead with your mistakes, lead with your failures, and people find their own humanity in that. I've had men from all over the world hit me right after this Father's Day doc. And all I know to be is me. It's because I heal as I reveal. The more I give you, the more I find peace even in my brokenness. When you live for Jesus and you're trying to live for Jesus, it is the reminder of I'm not Jesus and I need Jesus just like anybody else does. And when I fail and when I falter, you may give up on me, and that's okay, but he never will. And I think that is the resolve, Cam, of learning how to win wounded.
And for anybody who's not been on YouTube to watch Kirk Franklin's father's documentary, it is something that everybody should watch.
Wow.
Because it's so relatable. This is not him as the king of gospel. This is not him as the most influential, presence in the gospel industry. This is him as a human being, and we all can relate to. The thing I appreciated about the documentary is the same thing I appreciate now is I appreciate your willingness to be vulnerable, right? And from what you said, lead with, understanding that you're not perfect.
Far from it.
So we previously have already hinted at the word, but I kind of want to go back to the documentary a little bit. And as I was watching it, I was paying close attention to how you acknowledged Miss Deborah, right? And even your auntie, Miss Sandra, and it was like, you admitted you was like, yo, here I am at my age still feeling like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
It's like, you said something and then she said, who? And then when you said, aunt, thank you, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel, right? Like, bring me into your world. I kind of understand, but bring me into your world of first Miss Deborah.
I think that there's this unspoken misnomer that people believe that because of your faith, you should quickly overcome traumas and experiences that you have. And why are you still dealing with that if you believe in God and you pray to Jesus? Why are you still? And I believe that people don't understand that we are made up of three parts: mind, body, and spirit, right? And so, or mind, body, and soul, right? And these things are being transformed and changed in very gradual processes. And like there will be Christians that will die still of cancer that had faith. There will be Christians that will die in car wrecks. There will be Christians that will be that will die without money. That your faith doesn't alienate you from the realities of this fallen, broken world. We live in a fallen, broken space. And so for me, even though I'm 54 years old, this experience resurrected all of these childhood issues that I'd suppressed and buried, and that I'm now having to deal with even now again. And so, I wasn't raised around Sandra and Deborah. So they were not constants in my life. So they were very triggering. They were very triggering experiences for me. And, now that the cameras have stopped rolling, there's still a real life thing happening right now.
Oh, it's evident. Even when you're talking right now, and that's why I admonish. I'm not just doing or directing people to watch something because of the viewership or that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm literally saying that because I didn't see the star Kirk Franklin. I saw a human being that, we're not used to seeing our idols or our role models do real life. Wow. And I think going back to the shortcomings or the frustrations or the issues, it's image control. It's let's get out in front of this. It's the publicist. It's the agency. It's but that experience was just so real. Whether it was relatable to that particular person or a particular person, it was the ability to see a human being. And I was looking at it and I didn't know, and there was so much that had to be censored. I'm not going to belabor this too long, but I was looking at the test results come in and I saw Mr. Rick, right? Such a beautiful, patient person.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my God.
Yes.
He got it. He gets it.
Yes.
And I see Miss Sandra as a situation where it's like you're still in denial. And I'm reminded, or maybe this is crossing the line, but I have to ask, did you ever ask, did they ever date?
My mother's denial, and I also want people to know that when they watch the documentary, if they watch the documentary, when my mother walked out that day at the studio, I haven't talked to her or seen her since. So that was last June.
Yes.
Yeah, so I haven't talked to her since. So there's never been an acknowledgement of anything. There's never not, so I have not talked to my mother. My mother hasn't reached out. I mean, even after the documentary came out, we haven't had any contact. And, and that hurts even in itself. But at the same time, who knows what she's going through. I'm as I'm trying the best I can to be compassionate, to have empathy, while at the same time, I'm spending a lot of money in therapy. For sure. There are times that I'm, in therapy 2 or 3 times a week, because, and let me say this one, and Cam, I know you can be a witness to this one. You can attest. And I know that for a lot of men and women that are watching this with us, some of them think that some of this is very hypersensitive commentary from people that live in the 1 percentile of society that are just over emotional about their experiences. But they don't understand what I'm about to say, but you do. There's not only trauma about what we've experienced as men, people also need to understand that success
it's the biggest.
Brings a certain level of trauma.
Oh, for sure.
And so There's the childhood trauma. There's the little boy trauma. There's the church trauma.
Yeah.
Or should I say religious trauma. And then there's the trauma of success. So you've got these perfect storms that find themselves, these cosmic collisions that you have to walk through. And there are days I'm good, there are days I'm not good. And that is still my testament today.
Obviously, you're the star of the piece, but you always relate to therapy, which I commend you for, coming from Men's Mental Health Month, right? But are you navigating this by yourself? I know that this is something that you utmost care about the most, right? But is there a person that could go out and say, hey, you know what, let me talk to Michelle. Hey, let me go out and talk to, Ms. Hey, let me, you know what, as a representative that you trust to say, I got you. And I know people want to be so...
You mean to talk to them?
Yes.
Oh, that is I think that there has been enough of open doors that have presented themselves, that if there wanted to be any type of mending or healing between my biological now Andrew and I, we have moments we talk. I mean, we haven't had a chance to have a real gut bucket talk since the documentary, but
that is what I'm.
See,
But
but then I also have to let you know that I understand. See, here's something that I do understand as well. All of us at some stage, Cam, we are who we are. And when our true identity is revealed to each other, we then have to make the difficult decision, how will we maneuver in the new reality? Because see, we have to also learn how to have revamped expectations. And so when you begin to learn how to process revamped expectations, you learn how to maneuver with people where you are and where they are. And then at some point in our lives, we also have to put things on the list of what is the most important, what is the most necessary, and what can I live with.
Yeah.
And in the context of all that God has put on my plate, I still have a responsibility to Tammy, these kids. Right. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to walk and maneuver life with my oldest son.
Yes.
It's because that is still a process.
Right.
Love him. He's my firstborn. Yeah. First ever to receive my last name. And so that's very important to me. I'm still trying to maneuver life with my oldest son. We're still going through the process, and there are good days, there are bad days. I love him. He's my firstborn. He's the first to ever receive my name. Right. Before Tammy had my name, before anyone else had my name, my oldest had my name. I was 18. And so, there's so much on the list that there comes a time that the people that want relationship with you, they've got to meet you in the middle.
I got to be respectful, but I also have to be honest.
Talk to me.
So many times in church, you said something, the gut-wrenching conversation that we try to tiptoe around it or don't mention or don't acknowledge, right? Because me growing up in church, I would see members come, I would see members go. I see situations happen. I wasn't mentally prepared to process the situation.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, when I see this situation unfold, why is it so hard for us to have these real conversations as churchgoers, as religious people, to not just belabor the fact, because I feel like, Miss Deborah, it could cave in. Like, oh, it's happening. But I'm still sticking to it. I'm still whatever. And I'm not using her more so than the situation to tell somebody else's story. So much of me was just like, did anybody just ask the question? You don't just, Jesus was the only baby wedded out of Virgin Mary. Did you ever have sex with this man? That's a gut-wrenching conversation. When I look at my church, when I look at real situations in life, bro, I'm gonna just ask you just like this. Sister, I'm gonna just ask you. Baby, I'm gonna just ask you just like this. And I don't want you to take it by
No, totally understand.
You see what I'm saying?
Totally understand.
And those conversations and the issue that I have with church is we're not having these hard conversations.
Let me respond. So in the gravity of what you're saying, everything you're saying is correct. The space that you're communicating in, I have no rebuttal to it. So all I can do is to do my best to give you context. I didn't speak to my biological mother for 23 years. So for 23 years, we hadn't seen or talked to each other until the situation. There was a family situation that happened 23 years ago that was not good. And my mother and my biological mother and her husband at that time did not handle something well. I have a half sister, so my mother has 2 kids. Myself and my young sister, we were not, she's 1 year younger than me, we were not raised together because I was adopted by Gertrude. My sister lived, the old people call it from pillar to post. You ever heard it? You ever heard that before?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, they just live everywhere. Right. So Deborah didn't.
For different situations, it doesn't necessarily mean that her living situation was unstable, not necessarily.
Well, this one was. Okay. It was bad because Deborah did not parent her really as well. And she spent years in prison and, drug issues. She's a beautiful soul too, and she should have been looked after by her father and her mother. That didn't happen. Well, when my sister got out of prison, I was left by myself to try to help my sister. I was 32 years old. I didn't know what to do. And so my sister needed a lot of help. I was on the road, I was on tour, and we had this family gathering. And you know what? For the first time ever, I'm gonna tell the story. I've never told the story before.
Look again.
I'm gonna tell the story for the first time in my life. This is why I stopped talking to my biological mother. Here it is. 32 years old, my sister gets out of prison, and I'm the only one trying to help her. And she needs a lot of help. Where's she gonna stay? What is she gonna do? Because again, she has been in prison with this institutionalized drugs, all these different things. I found a ministry that I paid these 2 ladies to just kind of mother her and nurture her. And she stayed in their house with a few other ladies and young girls that were kind of going through the same thing. And my sister was still struggling with drugs and, her body and use for drugs and all these different things. And it was more than a 32-year-old boy could handle.
Correct.
And my sister has a younger daughter who's like a child to me and Tammy. Her name is Monica. Incredible. She came into my life, she was 14. She showed up at my doorstep and said, "You my uncle." I didn't even know I had a niece. And so she was 14, I was about 31, 32 years old. And so Monica is living with this lady who's like a grandmother to her. And so I say to Monica, I said, we need to, and to the ladies my sister's living with, we need to find a way to get people together to help my sister. Right. So we reached out. I had somebody it was either Monica, somebody reached out to my biological mother, Deborah, Sandra, and then they have another sister named Dee Dee. And we needed to do an intervention to help Sawana. Because again, this is not my daughter. Sawana's not my daughter. She's my sister. Sawana has a real mama living. And I need help from the family because, again, It takes a village.
Right.
So I called, I'm trying to remember, I don't think I called, but I had somebody call everybody together.
A representative of you.
And so we met up all together at the house that Monica was, that Tawana's daughter Monica was living in. And when we all met up, everybody showed up, but my biological mother, she showed up with her new husband. Nobody had ever known this man. Nobody knew who this man was. She shows up with her new husband. So we're trying to do this intervention. And it's not going well because my biological mother has always had a temper. And the way she was communicating with my sister was not compassionate, was not healing. And it was a struggle for me to watch the way she was handling my sister. It was very difficult. But I could see she was trying. I just, it was like, I remember as a child, the times that I would be around my biological mother, she was a firecracker. Mm-hmm. I'm a firecracker. Correct. I got that too. And so the way that it was going okay. It wasn't going the way, that I pictured in my mind, like the Hallmark card. You know what I mean? What I'm saying? I had in my mind the kumbaya.
You're Kirk Franklin. You thought you had everything under control. People think you have everything. You're wearing designer from head to toe. You sell out arenas. You do this, you do that. Everybody knows who you are. But
I can't fix this.
Okay.
And I'm 32 years old. Mm-hmm. See, I'm 54 now. So you look back and like, 32? I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So as this intervention ended, Deborah, my biological sister, my sister and myself, as it ended before we were about to leave, we all three hugged. We all three hugged because, mind you, we hadn't been around each other in years. When we started hugging, it was either Sandra or Dee Dee. I think it was Sandra. One of them said, oh, this is, I could hear one of them say, this is so beautiful. This is the way family should be. This is the way y'all need to be doing. Y'all need to be, and then I said, hey guys, this is not about us. This is about Sawana. Mm-hmm. This moment is about Sawana. We need to focus on Sawana. Right. After I said that, Deborah's new husband in the corner, he yells, what you need to do is call your mama sometime. I said, sir, I don't know who you are, but she's the mother, I'm the child. He says, yeah, but you call yourself a Christian. My boy, I retched up and made my way over. I was giving it go, and it turned into a whole mess. And it got heated, it got bad, and my mother did something that crushed my heart. She grabbed his hand and said, come on, baby, let's go. And she walked out of the house on her two kids. And she stood by the side of this Nigga.
Nigga.
I can't say it because somebody always says something when I say it.
I will.
And walks out with him. And they told me I must have blacked out because they told me what I said is they said I followed them outside on the porch, because you're in that hood, you got porches.
Yes, sir.
They said I walked out and followed them on the porch and I yelled at my mama, that's right, go ahead and walk out like you always do. And the fact that she took that man's hand and she did not say to him, baby, you stay over there. This is between me and my kids. Kids that I know I did not raise. Kids that I know I did not nurture. Kids that I know I did not protect. Kids that I know that I did not provide for. Kids that I know that I did not defend. Kids that I did not love. Kids that did not have their mama. You stand over there and let me deal with my kids. She did not deal with her kids. She took that
nigga
man's side and walked out with him. And I promised myself Now, see, I couldn't protect myself as a little boy, but as a grown man, I will never be put in a position where you will ever be able to do me like that again. And so for 23 years, I did not see or speak to my biological mother. So when this happened last year, and after all that I've gone through, and to still get these denials, I'm not good, but I'm good. I'm good. For me, there's nothing else. Two DNA tests? You denying 2 DNA tests? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I got too much to deal with. I can't, at some point, you got to save what is still together. Mm-hmm. Ooh, did somebody get that?
No. I'm with you.
At some point, you got to save what's still together.
Yes, Lord.
Because if not, you can't give them everything to break.
Mm. You bruised, but you ain't broke.
Yes, sir. But you will be if you give them everything to break.
Because I say this, when I hear you talk about this situation, I'm getting goosebumps listening to it.
That's the first time I'd ever talked about that.
Thank you. But I would tell you this, you've allowed your mother to make it right, and she constantly failed. Where you just, if she said, hold on, baby. Hold on. I can make it right now.
Right now.
Kirk, I'm here.
Right now, with both of us.
I'm here. I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm broke too.
Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah, hold on. Peep game, King. Watch this. About a year or two later, I'm in Louisiana at a concert, and I have to do a meet and greet. Do you know that there were these strangers that walked up to me? Cam, God is crazy. These strangers walked up to me at the meet and greet and said, Kirk, we just want to apologize to you. I'm like, this is my first time meeting these people. They said, we are the children. We are the children of the man that your mama married. And we heard about what happened. That's him. And we're sorry because we know him. And we know what he did, and we know the spirit of it. We know because he's our biological father. And we want to say, dude, the odds of that?
Yeah.
The odds of that. You got to be careful how you treat people because we are so closely connected on this planet. 6 degrees, right? 6 degrees. You got to be very careful how you treat people because people still matter.
For sure. We serve a God who forgives, but it first starts with us acknowledging and not living in denial.
That's so good, Cam. That's so good.
Once in any type of AA meeting, what they say, the first step is acknowledgement.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge, hey, you know what? Because my father, my mother, and my grandmother raised me. I was raised in a 3-parent household. One thing that they've always taught me was accountability. Always. Who broke this chair? I broke it.
Yeah.
Look at me when I talk.
Yeah.
And for you witnessing this, not Kirk I don't want to love nobody but you. Not that. This was
all these songs.
This me, bro. I'm trying to tell you, this is me.
Can I say this? First of all, shout out, love and respect to my biological mother, Deborah, because she still gave me life. So let's still acknowledge the Black Queen and her ability to create life on this planet. So thank you. She did not have to have me. Even though I overheard her when I was 13 tell Gertrude, I didn't want to have him, I wanted an abortion, but you wouldn't let me. I heard her tell Gertrude that when I was 13. It's because I was raised in them trap houses that didn't have doors. You know, there were not doors to the bedroom.
It wasn't sealed. They weren't sealed, right?
Bro.
They had a little crack.
Yeah, and I'll never forget that. I remember hearing that. So But thank you, Gertrude, for encouraging Deborah to have a baby.
Such an amazing woman, such an amazing just soul. You was describing her as you talked about. We only went to church, home. That's my grandmother.
That's Gertrude. And learning how to take pieces of it one day at a time instead of trying to eat the whole cake at one time. You got to take little pieces. And you know, my story, interestingly, Cam, when the documentary came out, it is amazing how so many people of color in this country have the same story. We have really been a displaced race of people. Folk not knowing who their mom and daddy is real time, finding out years later that who they thought was this and not that. It is more common in our experiences as people of color in this Western world we live in than you could ever imagine. And that's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. I'm not the only one. Life right now for people, it is getting. So when this comes out, I will have performed on the BET Awards with Will Smith this weekend performing, for BET Awards performing Will Smith. And when he called me and told me about the song, he said, Kirk, I need you to help me speak to people's pain. He said, because people are hurting and people are looking at God right now like, where are you? If you're really real, why are you constantly allowing stuff to just get worse and worse and worse in my life? And you know, here's a very successful man that is not so far removed that he understands that pain right now in our society is ever present than it's ever been before. And people are hurting. People can't buy milk. People can't figure out how to raise their kids. Kids and them, I just did Steve Harvey's camp, then you just did it. You saw it. Did you see the eyes of these boys? They're numb. Did you see how numb those boys were?
Absolutely.
Numb. They have no emotion because life is beating them up. They're having to be daddies to their mamas. They're having to be husbands to their mamas. They're having to get jobs early on.
Punching bags. They got to be so many things. An adult at 13.
And people are
younger.
And people are hurting. And I believe that the Christian community is not equipped for the tsunami that is real people trouble because we've been building churches, but we ain't been building people. And I believe that the dominoes are falling and all of this name it, claim it, and blessing and prosperity and all that stuff that's donuts. That's not greens, that's not asparagus, that's not Brussels sprouts. That's donuts. And so now that the storms are coming, the people's roots are not deep. And I just believe that nowadays, man, and so that's why you and I and other people, the reason why God allows the water to go over our heads sometimes is so that we can know how it feels when we're talking to other people that are drowning.
You're talking.
So for a Will Smith to talk to me about, we got to speak to the pain of the people, he's Will Smith. But that means that pain is relative. It's relative.
And I want to be so obedient in this moment right now and just know that the appreciation, and I don't want to rush this emotion. I don't want to discredit this emotion. And knowing that if you weren't talking to nobody, you was talking to me.
Thank you, God.
Because so much of what you said, success, can be the biggest stress. It's the access. It's the monetary benefits. It's the side of people that you see, you willing to do this for that.
Yeah. And people want you to repeat the win. And they don't know the pressure of always having to repeat the win. Do it again. rinse, wash, repeat, rinse, wash, repeat. And when you don't bring on the dub and there's an L, because life is full of L's too, the pressure of trying to find another dub or trying to recreate another dub, bro, it is daunting. So, like, I watch what you guys do on the field. Let me tell you something, man. My anxiety attacks would be so high, man. I'd be on the field with gas and diarrhea. I'd have to go pee every play.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because just that pressure of thousands of people screaming or booing in a stand. I don't know how y'all do that. Now, that is always amazing to me when you have to perform in environments where everybody there's not for you. That's difficult.
Have you ever been booed?
You know, not in the world, but now I've been booed online.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
But performing, have you ever?
Yeah, no. It's because I don't exist in an ecosystem. You know, you ain't gonna go to no church and they boo you.
Yeah.
You know, or even if you're in a mainstream environment, you know, you're not gonna get, now they may sit on you, but you guys have people boo and cuss at you, use profanity against you.
You're in a hostile environment.
It is beyond my understanding of what anxiety could feel like there. Yeah. So, you know, but once again, because it's all subjective, we always have to realize that somebody somewhere is going through something either worse than you or just like you, and it is time to find a way to speak to people's pain. And we live in painful spaces so that God at times can use us to be sympathetic and empathetic to people while they're drowning.
Love that. Now, there's a specific person that I saw alongside with you throughout the documentary, throughout so much of your career. And we always see, but we don't know how it happened. Tell me about Miss Tammy.
Miss Tammy. Miss Tammy is a beautiful soul. She is a beautiful woman. She deserves much better than me. She deserves more than what I would ever be able to give her. She's an incredible, incredible mother. I mean, I have envied what my kids have because I did not have that. She's an incredible daughter, incredible sister, incredible aunt, incredible grandmother. You know, she and I both have been victims of religious dogma. You know, she has seen the misogynistic tendencies of the church in its view of women, its handling of women, and how a very strong patriarchal environment is not always the best suiting for women. Because there is a sense of somewhat authoritarian posturing that can happen in religious spaces against women. You know, I myself know the weaponized, like Western Christianity, there are three areas that I've seen weaponization very strongly. I believe that marriage has been weaponized in Western Christianity. Giving has been weaponized in Western Christianity. Sexuality has been weaponized. It's very much that you living in sin, you need to get married. Without realizing that marriage doesn't fix sin.
You're talking.
So, you know, Tammy and I have had to walk through deep waters because of a lot of the bad beginnings of religious dogma. That's why it is very important for people to understand the fullness of faith and to not allow the culture of Christianity to dictate what they believe God wants for them. For example, and any woman listening to this can attest in our culture. Don't be no 30, 35-year-old single black woman and go to the family reunion. All the older women are gonna do them, they're gonna look at you and wonder and question you and challenge you on what Why you not married?
Where your man at? Where your kids at? All that.
Like it's a prerequisite for identity and value. That if you don't have a man, if you don't have kids, that something about you is broken. Do you understand how dysfunctional these messages are?
Yeah.
And how we super spiritualize these messages. He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. Yeah, but Paul also said, I wish that some of you were like me. I wish some of you could be single, because some of you could even be more useful in the kingdom if you were single, Paul said. Now, marriage is a good thing, but Paul said, but marriage is a necessary distraction. Yes. Yes. Do you know that there are some people, I have many friends that were in ministry at church, and the church has told them, if you're gonna be in ministry, you can't be single. We're not gonna let you work with the youth ministry if you're single. You can't do this if you're single. And so what people do, they quickly get married, thinking that they're fulfilling God's will for their lives, but they are fulfilling man's dogma. You can be single and be used by God. You can be single and have purpose. Being married is not a prerequisite for God's hand on your life. It is not, but we've weaponized it. And then crucify people, where my camera at?
Right there.
And then crucify people when those same marriages don't.
Fail! They asked me, Kirk, why you not married? You got all these kids, but my kids aren't without a father.
That's good.
This industry, my lifestyle, has put fear in my heart to fear divorce more than I want to get married.
And I'm very sorry that even the world that I come from has attributed to that. I would be honored as your brother to be praying for you through that, to be lifting you up, encouraging you, challenging you, whether it's good counseling, therapy, just to continue to walk through that, because those are real things. That's real. That is real. And I believe that for the survival of Christianity in the new space that we exist in, the church has to be comfortable with transparent conversations. And guess what? And guess what's going to be the most powerful thing that a Christian can say in 24? Do you know the most powerful phrase that a believing person can be able to say to someone in 2024 is going to be this: I don't know. See, Christians are wired to believe that they always got to have an answer for every conversation somebody has with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say to somebody is, I don't know. I don't know why that family was killed in that car wreck. I don't know why God allowed all those people to die in that situation. I don't know. I don't know why a good God allows bad things to happen to good. I don't know. But my conclusion always is, Cam, but what I don't know does not cancel out what I do know. And I've seen enough to believe that he is who he said he is. But everything, I don't know. I don't know the answer and the whys to everything. And so why our trauma continues to show up and our relationships with a woman, or relationships in jobs, or they cause us to be afraid to dream or to be ambitious because we're so afraid of failing, I don't know. But I do know that some things we have to do afraid. Some things we have to be able to continue. Sometimes some things you got to live with a limp. And I just want to make sure that whatever decisions, whether it's marriage or being single or whatever the case is, that people make decisions not out of dogma, but they make decisions out of the biggest truth is this: there is nothing that you will ever be able to do. Paul says, nothing will ever separate me from the love of God. So that means that whether you're single, God loves you no less than if you were married. If you are married, God loves you no less than if you were single. But God is not a dictator demanding you to be one or the other. He just wants you to love him. And when you love him, he's going to order your steps. And don't do it out of fear. Do it out of love.
Hey. Well, you're preaching. I'm with you when you're right. What they say in O's, I'm with you when you're right, huh? And
Doc, you got to call me Doc.
you dig what I'm saying? But I'll tell you this, like so much of me is like, yo, that's so beautiful. But then another part of me is like, if we gonna keep it funky, how did you and Miss Tammy meet? Like, was it in the church? Right? What was that dynamic? You're Kirk Franklin. I don't want to love nobody but you. We need a strong God, yeah. We need a real God. How do you navigate, now we're talking, how do you navigate through the temptations of life, but also living your life?
Well, let me be very transparent before you. The beginning of our experience together as a couple for Kirk was not the most healthiest. I'm going to be very transparent because I was maneuvering a lot in fear. See, at my wedding, the church was full of people. There was not one person in that church related to me. Not one. The lady that sat in as my mother was the wife of the pastor at the church I was going to, and the lady that ran the label that I was on. Those two people were sat in as my mother. All of my groomsmen, all of the bridesmaids, nobody up there was related to me. I didn't have any family at that church. So I've always lived alone, and so getting married was, Tammy and I were at a church. Well, Tammy and I met when I was 18, and we met each other, hung out, and we talked that night. I didn't see her talk to her again for 3 years. She came to, she knew a friend of mine that came to my live recording in 1992, saw each other, hung out for 2 weeks, didn't see each other again consistently for 3 years. So when we saw each other and connected again, it was 1995. My career was taking off. While we sang was off the charts. Christmas, everything was, God was blessing. But I was living a very, very promiscuous life. And it hurt me because it had been hammered in me so bad that God hates fornication. Living in sin, you living in sin, you living in sin. So in my heart of wanting to live for God, that was a very driving force for me. It's because I was not taught to fear God. I was taught to be afraid of God. Those are two different things.
Two different feelings.
Two different things. So everything I did had a motivation of fear.
Right.
So when Tammy came back into my life, and I'm talking about Tammy beautiful, Tammy fine, she bow-legged, she short like me, she's sweet, and Tammy got a big family. Tammy has 7 siblings. Mom and dad in the house. Daddy got a great job. He's a great man. Mama's a great woman. So I fell in love with the aesthetic of it all. No premarital counseling. We didn't get a chance to really date. So it was a lot of the church dogma. We went to a church after we connected, and the pastor's wife of that church she said to me and Tammy, she said, Kirk, that other girl you're dating, that's not your wife. This is your wife. So I flew Tammy home and I took her to look at rings. You see what I'm saying? So it didn't start the way that a healthy dating, courting process should have started. And Tammy deserved that. I deserved that. We already had 2 kids by 2 different people. They deserved that. So I brought a lot of trauma into my journey. And, took Tammy through a lot. I'm still taking Tammy through a lot, because I did not understand this concept of love. And so thank God for a beautiful soul like Tammy. Tammy is baby Jesus to me. Tammy is a North Star. She's an incredible woman. And I have wandered through the ups and downs of emotional distress a lot in my marriage and in my life and fathering. And thank God for music. Thank God for being able to have opportunities to talk through it and to walk through it. And so that's why I'm so adamant about that people do not need to allow dogma to dictate their decisions.
Now, she's had that family dynamic, right? The mom, the dad. Mm-hmm. Were you able to connect with her mom?
It's still her mom. Mm. But her mom has worked her butt off to give me everything. Let me tell you, it is not on them. Right. It's more on me. Yeah, oh, because they have been. Let me tell you something. Tammy's mother and Tammy's father, you can't find better people. Mm. I'm telling you, they are. That's why Tammy's such a good person, because she comes from good stock. Tammy comes from good stock. Mm. And then when I met Tammy's daughter, I met when I met her, she was 5 or 6. I'm like, oh no. Tammy's daughter had me wrapped around her finger. Mm-hmm. First, like I think the second day we were together, I snuck, I think, $200.
She didn't even know what it was.
She didn't know what it was. And Tammy took it from her.
Mm. Yeah. I think the thing that we always shy away from in gospel is the tough conversations.
Yeah.
But God said, no. Well, I understand what God said, but listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm hurting.
Yeah.
And not just the aesthetic or the so many of us suffer in silence.
Yes. That's why I share so much. Let me tell you something, Cam. People may be wondering, okay, why is Kirk giving all this details about his family and his marriage and his mom and this? It's because I think that when I look at the climate of Christianity, I'm seeing an exodus from it. I'm seeing people veer away from it because they do not see it as real. They do not feel that the people are real. Everybody's giving the pretty version of themselves. Mm. And I don't see how anything can survive without truth. Nothing can survive without truth. You cannot have cancer and not have a doctor tell you the truth. He can't tell you that you got a cold just to be nice and not want to hurt you. He's got to give you the ugly truth about chemo. He's got to give you the ugly truth about the process of losing your hair or whatever that you may lose. He can't come in there and massage truth. Mm-hmm. Truth must be truth, by which reality is based upon. You know, it can't be arbitrary. Mm-hmm. It must be definitive, and you've got to be able to receive it. And so for me as a Christian, I cannot continue to see the faith that I love continue to be disrespected and dishonored because those of us in it, we're not playing the real games. Mm. We're playing the fake games. We're not playing the real game of life. And the real game of life is we don't have it all together. I do not have it all together. I love Jesus, but I'm not him. I mess up. I fail. I cuss. I say the things wrong. I do the things wrong. I think wrong things. I don't get it all right. And that ain't got nothing to do with my lack of spiritual maturity, because all of your heroes in the Bible did the same thing. Mm. And I'm not talking about Old Testament heroes. I'm talking about your New Testament ones. But we don't want to have that conversation. You subscribe to a text, to a canon of scripture with imperfect Negroes all through it. But then in real time, when we fail and we're not perfect, you condemn people. Help me make sense of that. Tell me how that survives. Now, that may survive in silos. You may become little cults and little islands where all you do is you keep having the conferences and people keep going to the same conferences and y'all keep rinse, wash, and repeat. You got the same word of encouragement, and our church is turned into a pep rally, and it's more you-centered than it is Jesus-centered. Nobody want to suffer. Don't nobody want to go through. Everybody going to have a Bentley. Everybody not going to have a jet. The Bible says that the poor are going to be with you always. In this life, you will have trouble. That's the real gospel. Some people are going to die for their faith. Some people are going to be persecuted for their faith. Some people are going to be ostracized for their faith. Some people are not going to like you for your faith. That's the real gospel. The real gospel is everybody not going to get the job. Everybody not going to get the come up. Everybody not going to get the bag. Everybody not going to be an entrepreneur. Everybody won't. But it don't mean that Jesus don't love you any less, because this life is not the only life that we will live. We are living to live again. If not, the Bible is a lie, and it all ain't true, and it's all about Easter rabbits and white men with red suits talking about ho, ho, ho. You got to choose one or the other. You can't have both. You cannot have both. You either got a cross or you have a lie. I feel good.
But you're talking. And as a father, I've respected the fact that the bonus children, coming from a person who's taking in bonus children, it can be an identity issue that you must mend because where my daddy at? You not my daddy. Well, you can't tell me what to do. But you nurture that with love.
Oh, let me tell you something. I have never, not once in my home has that ever been a narrative. Let me tell you something. Carrington fell in love with me as much as I fell in love with her. Carrington is my baby. I don't even know what a bonus child even means. I mean, Tammy raised Carry On alongside with his great mother, Sean, from age 6, age 7. So, you know, that was never the aesthetic of the Franklin home. And so, and I know that's not everybody's story.
Yes.
But when it comes to me and Carrington or Tammy and Carry On, and again, you got to remember Tammy's parents. Tammy's home was a blended home. It was 7 of them, but 3 her mama had, 4 the daddy had, and so they were all little kids. Tammy was the oldest when the mom and daddy got married, and she was 9. So everybody else was little. So they had a house full of little bitty kids of a blended family. And so Tammy was a master. She was a master. She was a surgeon at how she loved Carry On and Carrington and how she made that thing work, even with Sean. She was, because I was on tour, you know what I'm saying? You know, I was out there securing the bag. Yeah. And so she was a surgeon. And we even homeschooled so they could be with me. I mean, them kids did homeschool in Africa, homeschool in Amsterdam, homeschool in Norway. They were all over the world with me, traveling with me. We had a teacher. We had a full-time teacher for the kids. So we put it in. We put it in.
So I also agree with that. And God has blessed me to not acknowledge what the world wants you to acknowledge, because those are my children.
Yeah, buddy.
You can't tell Shakira that she not mine. You can't tell Jaden or China, as I refer to him, he's not mine. Yeah. And I don't care if I met Jaden at 11 or met Shakira at 5. Yeah. The connection and the bond that we have, it's a spoken and unspoken bond that's my father, that's my daddy.
Beautiful.
And there's times where, I know, I didn't raise you like that. I'm not raising you not to give honor and truth and understanding to respecting, the house.
Yeah.
Understanding where you get your strength from. So now when you talk about the Chosens, the Sovereign Dior's, the Kamidises, the Caesars, and the Kashmirs, and the Jezebel Ali's, these people are also a part of me, but blood don't just make your family.
Blood just don't make your family.
Like, come on, man.
Amen, preacher.
So you spoke about Carry On, and it was evident for the world to even see. Like, there was this thing that we weren't used to seeing, not Kirk Franklin, not all the people say. So that whole debacle, how are you guys working towards your relationship to mend that?
Let me say, like I always say, I was very ashamed of myself for the lack of control. No matter what the conversation was that I felt was a disrespectful conversation, because I'm the father, I still have the responsibility, and because I know my son, I have the responsibility to take in totality the environment that I was in,
right.
and I didn't do a good job, because he's still my son. And because he's still my son, the manner in which I talk to him was not the best. And so I own that. And there have been good days, there have been bad days still. And I am praying that my son will feel and see the support that is there for him to become his best. And the discipline and the work that takes, I know that it can be overwhelming for him, but I hope that he will see through it that he's worth it. He's worth it to himself to do the hard work with what God has in his sovereignty placed in your lap as a 36-year-old black man, that a lot of times we are wired in ways that we didn't ask for, but that does not limit us from still being our best. My son has potential in his pinky that I don't possess in my whole body. Cold, gifted, talented, good looking. And it is important for him to win because he's my son. If my son don't win, there's not an accomplishment on this planet that will ever matter. If my son doesn't win, my son has to win in life. If my son doesn't win, everything in my life is an L.
Have you identified what his trauma is?
It is his story to tell, his life. It would be disrespectful for me to speak on the nuances of his life on his behalf. He's a grown man.
Right.
And I respect his agency. And so I do believe that his story will be an incredible one. And I do believe that it will be healing for many people if and when he chooses to tell it. But it's his story.
Right. I can only imagine. I was always in my fear is for my children to feel the pressure to live up to. Oh, I see it in rec ball now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Cam Newton's son. Yeah. That's Cameron's daughter. Like that's Cam Newton's daughter. His sign right there. Look, that's it. Look, just like him. Boy, it's a lot of them. Oh, boy, I want one of your sons too. It's an auction. And they see it, they sense they're a part of it. They see the YouTube videos, they see how people respect and react to their father.
Yeah.
And that's pressure.
Yes.
So from the son, I know it could be pressure, and nobody talks about that.
Yes.
As what is it like?
Yes.
What you got to stress about? Boy, you Kirk Franklin, son.
Yeah.
Like, what? You Cam Newton, son. What the?
Yeah.
You ain't got no real.
Yeah.
I do, though, because I have identity issues.
Yes. And all four of my children will tell you that they have all had that experience. All four of them, you know? And even Tammy, I'm quite sure, you know, that. And then for us, it is also the duality of the pressure of religion, which is a whole nother layer.
Right.
And it's a layer that you never feel like you can win. Because the reason why it's hard to win the religious pressure is because it's so nuanced. It's so nuanced because everyone that is religious is not monolithic. So there are different variations of what right and wrong is, even within the subtext of the subculture. Right. And so that becomes even a more pressure because if you're Pentecostal, there's a critique. If you're AME, there's a critique. If you're apostolic, there's a critique. If you're Seventh Adventist, there's a critique. There's always a critique within the subcultures of the subculture. And so that along with whatever platforms that God has been kind enough to loan me, my children and my spouse, I know have had their life's issues with being connected to me.
I owe a service to the viewer by understanding this. How do you react or respond to him acknowledging that he's a bisexual?
I have always wanted my children to always know. And I had these conversations with them when they were younger. I had this conversation because, again, I've been Carry-On's father.
Mm-hmm.
I've had conversations with Carry-On since he was a little boy.
Yeah.
I know my son.
Yes.
And my conversation with him has always been a consistent one. I love you, and my love for you is not based on who you love. I love you. And that is my answer. And that will always, that's my answer as a Christian father that believes in the text. I love you. And my love for you does not waver at all based on who you love.
There's a beautiful picture when he comes into the hotel. You tell him the news. It was so, he came in so strong, and then all of a sudden, boom, you show him the phone, and then boom, it just crumbles. And then y'all have this father-son moment where both of you guys are on the floor, and it's just giving me goosebumps just thinking about it. Just as a father, you just reach out and touch your son. And I don't care how old you get. I don't care how crazy you think you is. You're still my son.
My son.
And y'all had such a beautiful exchange there where he even said, this is the only thing that I'm missing. So the acknowledgement is there. And I think it's not, the story isn't crazy. I think the willingness for us to see it to somebody that we put at such high regard because of your talent, that's the difference.
And that is so unfortunate at times, isn't it? That the perception is that you are absent of your own humanity. I'm still a human, and I still go through human things. So, and I'm doing my best to live the love of the Father out in every aspect of my life, so that the love of Jesus becomes alive in every aspect of my life. And I wanted to, and I fail, I sin, I fall short, I'm far from perfect, I don't do everything right, and I'm a candidate for grace. Paul calls himself the chief sinner. He's writing his letter to the church, and he says, I am the chief of sinners. And I love that posture, because if anyone could be cocky and arrogant, this dude lived to see Jesus. You know, he didn't die before he saw heaven. You know, he was caught up, he said. He was caught up, and God revealed heaven to him, but still he came to earth, back to his humanity, and calls himself the chief sinner, the worst of the worst. And so it's going to show up in me being a husband at times. It's going to show up in me being a father sometimes. It's going to show up in me being an artist sometimes. It's going to show up in me being a friend, a brother sometimes. What's going to show up is that I love Jesus, but I'm not him.
You speak with so much grace, so much humility, and conviction of knowing exactly who you are.
Wow. Thank you. That means a lot.
I mean, it is.
But I need you to know at this season in my life, what you just said means the world. It's because there are things in my life that I feel disappointed in myself. That there are things in my life in this season that I don't feel like that I am my best self. And it is very encouraging to know that even though I may not feel my best, that you still see some residue of the Lord on me. That is extremely encouraging, extremely.
3 things that you mentioned these last 3 years. You've been going through a tsunami. The phone conversation.
My son being on that TV show, number 2.
That, right? the documentary,
Yeah.
and you said something that was wowing the peers.
Yeah, and some of my heroes right now, some of my Mount Rushmores this year, and some things that I've seen in my life right now that makes me feel very alone, makes me feel very lost in where life is, because in not having a father, I've had some Mount Rushmores in my life that have been my pillar, and now seeing some things around me crumble makes me feel very lonely.
To refrain from names, right? I can kind of get a sense of who you're talking to or talking about, out of respect to him and his family. But seeing what's happening, how do you maneuver?
First of all, they're human. They're human, and it doesn't take away from the good that they've done and from the greatness of who they still are. I just find myself not knowing how to be, not knowing. First of all, it's fresh, as you know.
Yes.
It's very fresh, and just not knowing how to be, not knowing how to maneuver, but still very grateful. But it's because I would not be the man that I am today without these people. These people are the reason why I am who I am. My heart for Jesus, my love for Jesus, my love to try to be everything that I wasn't equipped with from my biological mother and father, life. And so I'm just trying my best to figure out, what do I do? It's because I'm not a biological child, so, I don't know what my place is right now. I don't know how to maneuver with some of these men that I love and have shown love to me. It's because, I am more of a Gentile than I am a Jew. I'm very much, I'm very much grafted in. So, I'm just trying to figure out. And then it is also the moment in life that we're living in right now. It's because life is grave for people that believe and don't believe. Life is hard for people. And so when some of your foundations are shaken, you just kind of find yourself after. It's almost like how people probably feel after a really bad earthquake. The earth stops shaking, but now you're looking at your house
equilibrium
destroyed.
off.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, equilibrium's off, and you're looking at your house down to the bone, and so it's like you don't know what to do right now. You don't know if you should call the insurance company right now. You don't know what to do. You don't know if you should dig through the rubble and try to find your childhood pictures. So you just kind of. So for a while, I'm quite sure that people that have gone through that, for a while, I'm quite sure they just stand and look at the rubble. For a while, you just kind of, you're standing there like. And that's where I am right now in life. Right now in life, I'm just kind of.
Still.
And I'm just looking at the rubble. I'm just looking at the rubble. Right now, I'm just standing right now and I'm looking at the rubble. Going through that publicly with my son and watching him on that TV show and watching some of the physical abuse and some of the belittlement of your seed. Having to think about the fact that I hadn't seen my mother in 23 years, still not getting a truth that I deserve, and I am an empath, so I feel things so deeply, and I feel emotion deeply, but I'm a creative. I feel the seasons change. Like I can feel when the weather changes. I feel it emotionally. Like I can feel the weather change, and so I am standing and I'm looking at the rubble of religion. I'm looking at the rubble of Christianity. I'm looking at a lot of my friends that have gone through different things. A lot of Christian leaders have gone through a lot of things. A lot of people have left. I'm looking at the rubble of the evangelical movement and its connection to a leader who is hypocritical and manipulative and manipulates Christianity for its own benefit, and how that has made Christianity look in the broad scope of culture. And I'm looking at this Jesus that I love continue to be laughed at and disrespected by people that are supposed to represent him. And so for me, it all looks like rubble. And I'm just looking at the rubble. And I'm trying to figure out, where do I start at first? And all I got is a broom. All I got is a broom. And I'm looking at
with
this
all
rubble.
this mess.
With all this mess. The mess of my life and the mess of the world that my life has existed in.
It's almost, well, it's not almost, it's the reality, it's the truth. You're not safe anywhere. And we're living in a day and age where we could hide, or people could hide behind technology not being in place for us to really, truly get the truth, whether from a camera, whether from a whether from a witness. See, back in the day, you just have a, boy, it was a time, and you believed it. Nowadays, it was like, boy, you ain't gonna, matter of fact, don't worry about it. I knew you wasn't gonna say that. That's him right there. Look, Instagram, he got a white shirt on. Boom, this got a white shirt on. He got them Balenciagas on right there. Look at the shoes, zoom in. It's there. You're not safe. So people live as if they are safe in an unsafe world. Know where you turn, because everybody's trying to expose everybody. And this is the thing that hurts me, or hurts the society. It doesn't even have to be backed by truth
At all.
And you got it. I'm the first to say it. I said it first. No, I said it first.
At all. At all.
And
the accusations killed you. It's because, no disrespect to our species, but so many people's lives are so bitter and broken right now that the only relief that they have is to rest in the destruction of yours. So they've got to build up even the idea of you failing just to give them a timeout from their own failures. Because everybody's life is just running into a cliff. So even if you didn't do it, I need you to possibly do it to make me feel better about the fact that I'm not doing it. Or to take the time off of what I'm doing wrong. It's like, I need you to fall and mess up because it gives me a break from dealing with my own mess ups. Or I need for you to get fired to take the energy off of me getting fired. So we find joy in the possibility of your fallen humanity because it gives me a time out from my own mess.
Oh, and where we are, you're innocent until proven guilty. That's not true. No. You're guilty until proven innocent. And even when proven innocent, you're still guilty to a degree.
Still guilty.
As we move along in the same type of phase, do you believe in the church hurt?
There is church hurt, but there's also life hurt. And even in the church hurt, I still know and believe that there's still some really, really good churches, really, really good pastors that are doing it the right way. And I do believe that church hurt, if you're not careful, can be a tool for justification to discontinue the pursuit of what you know that is intrusive of your life. Because see, here's the thing. See, here's a problem with the real gospel. See, some of this pretty self-help gospel, it doesn't require much of you because it's all to benefit you. But the real teaching of Jesus Christ is that he wants you. So there is a sacrifice and a self-denial of you. And the problem is sometimes we use church hurt because we really don't want to get to the core of, there's some stuff that if I really want to grow, I got to give up. There's some stuff I got to address. There's some ish that's got to be dealt with. If it's because God can't occupy that space. See, God's not timeshare. God's about ownership.
For sure.
And so he wants all of you. And so a lot of the stuff that we want to build up is maybe the stuff God wants to tear down. And I think that we don't understand that true discipleship is counterintuitive to all of the nuances of what is happening now in our post-Christian society. You know, our post-Christian society is what you drive, the come up. God wants you to have this. God wants you to blow up. Everything is about your enemies. You know, your enemies gonna hate you when you make it. God's gonna use your haters. It's like, I did not know I had that many haters.
Yeah.
I did not know I had that many people that were against me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is very important that when we get to this core of church hurt or church love, that the biggest thing that God wants is that he don't want anything to stand in the way of you and him. And if God got to take you out of the church to get more of you, he'll do that. But going to church don't make you a Christian no more than being in a garage make you a car. So it doesn't mean that just because you go to church mean that you got it all together. So we just got to realize that the focus of our attention should not be the pastor. It should not be the podium. It should not be the pews. It should be him. He's the star. He's the MVP. He's the VIP. We're his groupies, and we're there to big him up. It's all about him. It's all about Jesus.
Has your industry always accepted you?
You know, sometimes I may wear something that gets ridiculed. I may do a little move on stage that gets ridiculed. And, you know, I sometimes don't always understand it. I don't always understand what the big fuss is of every little thing I do, you know. But it does not mean that people don't have a right to question. I'm not that kind of person. I think people should judge, they should critique, and I want to know what I can do better. I want to know when I did a concert in Jamaica not too long ago, and there was a lot of critique about what I had on, because I had a tank top on. And I got beat up for having a tank top on. But if it was disrespectful to their culture, if it was disrespectful to people, then I want to know that, you know. I didn't mean any harm, so that I can know what to do better. I want people to see that I am a man trying my best to represent Jesus in 2024. Trying to represent Jesus in 2024 outside of the church walls, bro, that's a job.
For sure. I think, too, I have to ask this question of, are you a reflection of the music that you make?
I think so.
Right? Because you've been innovative. You've done your human art responsibility to push things forward. They say, make sure that you leave this place in a better shape than when you found it. You did that.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. I'm trying to.
Right. So as we talk about more of where you're going, you done work with them all. Rappers, R&B, gospel, Mount Rushmore. Like, what's next? Like, how do you stay, how does it stay fresh to you? Like, what do you want to do that you haven't done?
Well, you know, Camp, I live to create. I live to create. I don't know how to sit down. Like right now, Tam and I are going through empty nesting. It's killing me. Because I've never been married to my wife without kids. We've always had a house full of kids. Yeah. And now that it's just her and I find myself needing to build something. Because I was able to build the kids, you know. I need to build something. And so create, and then God in his grace, he still brings opportunities. So I love, Cam, whatever it is, if it's an album, a TV show, a movie, a podcast, a platform, a tour, I just want to keep the conversation of God relevant. That's all I want to do. I want God to be popping in these streets. That's all I want.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
That's all I want. That's what I live for, King. I want to keep God, I want to make God famous. And when I say famous, I'm using it as a colloquialism for just meaning known.
Yes.
I want to keep God known. I want it to be a current. I never want it to be a conversation of God when you go to the zoo and people are like, oh, look at them. I didn't know that they still make those. I thought those were, I thought they were extinct. Oh wow, they still exist. I don't want my faith in the God I believe in to ever be where people are like, yo man, look, God, there's some Christians over there. Really? I didn't know they were still around.
What are those?
Yeah, well, what are those? You know, I don't want Christians to be, what are those?
Yeah.
So for me, I want to curate everything and anything I can so that at every stage in life, the conversation of God is relevant and is popping in these streets.
You've recently just did a Juneteenth performance at the White House. That's a flex, bro. Like,
I didn't do a concert. I just did a couple of songs.
come on now.
It wasn't a concert. I did a couple of songs.
Okay. Well, you performed.
Yes.
And how was that?
It was dope. The vice president came on stage and she boogied with me a little bit.
No, she did.
She boogied with me a little bit. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun that she boogied with me. You know?
One thing that I've seen, like, that's Kirk. I mean, you got muscles out of dish. You got muscle dish. You got dish.
Gersh.
Like,
How you say?
dish. Dad. And I asked you this at Super Bowl. I was like, bro, what's your workout routine?
And I told you what happened,
Yes.
right? What happened was COVID. What happened for me was COVID. I did not do well psychologically in COVID. My depression, my anxiety was off the charts because I'm a people person. I'm an extrovert. And so for my business, the world shut down. And I did not do well. And we're blessed to have a gym in our house. And I had nothing to do. And I spent a lot of time in the gym. And you know how it is as a man. You start seeing a little progress. It's like, uh-oh.
What you said, directions are over.
Yeah. It's like the car's outside
Look at
over
that.
there. But I'm sitting in here.
What are those?
Let's lift up Jesus
Look at it.
higher. And so what happened is that as I began to learn about diet and to learn about protein and just the things that benefit people, I leaned in. See, my personality is like that. I am by nature a 0 to 100 person.
Addictive personality.
Oh, all the way. I'm all the way over here. There's no gray. I know no gray. I don't understand gray. So the more I did it, the more I leaned in, and the more I started to see results. I leaned in.
First off, thank you for your time, for your patience, for your understanding, for your willingness to tap into what we need. It's not the cute, it's not the sexy, it's what we all need. We need to tell somebody, hey, you got a booger in your nose, bro.
Yeah,
It's okay
facts.
though. It's okay.
Facts.
Hey, hold on. I got some gum.
Yeah.
Your breath stink, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. Pull your pants up, dog.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Your girl right here, bro.
Yeah.
What are you tripping?
Yeah.
Your kids, go home.
Yeah. Facts.
Those are real conversations
Facts.
that I just want to do my due diligence, and thank you for doing yours.
Thank you, King. Thank you, King. Thank you. It is an honor, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of your navigation of culture and Christianity. Your pursuit of wanting to be a better man. You're still young. You're 35. Bro, you know, it is, I pray that the world will give you as much patience as the patience that you give yourself. The reason why God does not wear a watch, because you're never out of time.
Like I told you, you my Michael Jackson, bro. And I want to tell you that in your face before I read about it in the obituary.
Now, am I big nose Michael or am I little nose Michael?
You are ABC. You Thriller Michael Jackson too.
So I'm big and little nose Michael.
You everything.
Okay.
And look, it's crazy because I just was at the in the World Show, and you know, you're probably, well, growing up, we knew who Kirk Franklin was. Like you were the face of, and still the face of gospel, right? And somebody got to singing. It was the opening act, and I would like to present to some and introduce the others. Karen Clark. I said, the Clark sisters, Karen Clark, and then she got to singing. So you talking about that? Any gospel real singer,
Yeah.
back like they can compete with anybody.
Anybody.
When you hear a Fantasia came from the church,
Yeah.
man.
Hey,
Whitney
facts.
Houston, the church, man.
Facts.
So when she got to singing, I was about to run up to the stage and say, "Oh my God, we got to take a picture," because she did like
dope.
people don't know.
That's dope.
I seen her backstage. I said, "Miss Karen, listen, it may look weird to you, but you don't know who I am. I know exactly who you are. I didn't even know how you even look, but as soon as they said Karen Clark, first thing, you make me feel dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun dun. You brought me up, man. Oh, you give me something. Man, look, I come from church, man.
Man, and I love how you give the culture love like that.
Got to.
I appreciate you for giving gospel culture love like that because folk need to be reminded they are the originators.
Like, for sure.
I'll never forget being at BET Awards 2001, and I was in a room rehearsing with all the. It's because we did a song together for Haiti on the BET Awards. It was Marvin Sapp, it was the Clarks, it was some other gospel artists, boom, 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 boom. And Chris Brown was walking past the room we were rehearsing in. He almost lost his marbles. Chris Brown, and this is Chris Brown 20 years ago, you know, so, you know, young heartthrob.
Yeah,
Bro, he saw them gospel artists in there and lost it. Like, it was like, you know, and I think that people need to understand that your favorite pop star
Yes.
is a fan of gospel music.
No, like, so when I say easy, Cam, you tripping. Like, no, I mean this when I say this man who I'm looking at is my Michael Jackson.
Big and little nose.
Swag. All right. Can we end the show?
Let's get it. Let's go.
Jesus,
Because I'm ready this time.
Understand. I hope he ready, Jesus. Just let him just know. Understand.
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Give it to me.
Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
One finger, one pinky, one thumb. All together, one love.
Thank you.